What's up? You are listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports, and I am here today with Willie T. Jr. and Marshawn's going to be joining us in a little bit. But, Willie, how are you doing, sir? What's going on with you?
What's going on out there? What is it? 216? Yeah, 216.
In the
And
216? Yes, baby.
surrounding area. Rachel, what's happening? You kind of sound like you were hosting a I don't want to say it on the air.
I don't know what you're going to say.
Yeah, you do.
You can always text me.
Yes, text the show. Oh, never mind. We can't do that either. Okay.
How you doing? You doing all right though?
I'm hanging in there. I'm hanging in there. Could be worse. So we just rest on the fact that we are where we're supposed to be.
Yeah, buddy. Well, speaking of this, we talked a little bit about All Star, but I also wanted to, get opinions from you and Marshawn too about what you guys thought about All Star Weekend and the All Star game in particular. So, what are your thoughts about an outsider? As always, you're not an outsider, you're part of the family. But how the basketball world descended upon Cleveland. What are your thoughts on the outside, looking in about how NBA All-Star was pulled off?
How was the weather up there during this time? Was it
It was snowing and cold and a lot of bad wind Saturday and Sunday and no, Friday, Saturday. It was especially Friday, it was snowy and cold. It was cold on Saturday too, and when Sunday night it was a little warmer.
so that really doesn't affect anything but the NBA All-Star parties that seem to be going around all over the city. But in terms of what we saw, I mean, I love how the NBA. I think they do actually need to do a little bit more of variation in terms of letting other cities host it. Because it's usually the same old places. But the last time it was here, the only time it's been here, or actually, I want to say it's been here twice in the last 40 years, I want to say. But the last time it was here, they played the game at Jerry World, which I thought was a mistake. They had all of the other things going on down at the American Airlines Arena or American Airlines Center downtown Dallas, but they played the game at Jerry World, which I thought was they shouldn't have done that, and that may have actually pushed it back in terms of Dallas being able to host it again. But it being in Cleveland with the Cavs playing as well as they are, and them being the surprise team that they have been, I thought it was remarkable. Cleveland is a great sports town. You guys, you love your Cavs, your Browns, and your Guardians. I thought it was terrific, and you guys have actually hosted the All-Star game in baseball too, right? Here recently.
20 that was not 2016. I want to say that was 2019.
Yeah. Well, no, not 19. Was it 19? Yeah, we didn't have an All-Star game in 2020. Or did we? Yeah, we did. What is this? 2022?
Yes.
Oh, Lord have mercy. But anyway, I thought it was fantastic. I really love the whole city getting their opportunity to have the spotlight shown on them for an event such as this.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. They said it was over 400 parties here in the city. Over 400 parties.
And that's still during a pandemic.
Right. Yeah. No masking though, of course. But yeah, Cleveland puts on, that's why we get a lot of big events. Obviously we're not gonna have another NBA All-Star. Hopefully, I'm hoping since we hosted 50 and 75 that they'll just go ahead and throw 100 our way, and just make us a host city for, the 25th or the quarters on the quarters, since we put on so well. But we won't get another MLB you know, um, pass, so it'll be a while before we host another, major sports event like that. But, we've hosted, like the gay games, the senior games and stuff like that. But it's going to be a while, obviously, because we just had these before we get big things again, but Cleveland always puts on, a ton of people coming to town and they're just like, I didn't know Cleveland was as awesome as it was, and somebody had told me that I thought Cleveland was a certain way, but I was pleasantly surprised. And one of my friends, she moved here from. She's been all around because she's in the TV industry, and she loves Cleveland. So those of us from here, obviously, we have appreciation for it that outsiders have, but a lot of people love it here. And Cleveland was very inviting and pulled out all the stops. I was surprised at the number of celebrities that came out because I'm thinking, hey, they're not going to come to Cleveland, but a lot of celebrities were here. They bought out clubs and all that other stuff. So, that was really surprising. But, overall, it was a really great weekend, and it pumped. They said almost $100 million into our economy and stuff like that. So, I mean, at the end of the day, all you can do is, be thankful and grateful. Why did they have the game at Jerry's World? Was it sold out? Was enough people able to get in? Like, did they fill it up with 100,000?
Nah, it wasn't because it was sold out. It was because it was Jerry's World, and they thought that that venue, being that it's the fact that it holds 90,000 people, I think they probably got about 60,000 in there for that game, because I remember them saying it was a record for an
Oh, yeah.
all-star game attendance. But that's the reason why, because even though Dallas, even though it was a basketball event, Jerry Jones slid his way in there like the businessman that he is, and he got a cut of what the NBA was doing. An NFL manager swerved right and right on into that economic stimulus, for the lack of a better term, because at that point, Jerry World was only, like, I want to say 2 years old at that point, because it was here in 2011. I want to say, no, may have been 12, because Super Bowl was here was in 2000. You know what? It may have been 2010, because the Super Bowl was here in 2011, and that was also, of course, at Jerry World. But that's why. I mean, they figured they would draw a larger audience, because the American Airlines Center downtown holds about, I want to say, 22,000. So they tripled basically the attendance with it being at Jerry World, and you don't know how much of a piece Jerry got from it being in his home stadium.
Well, I know the NBA made a ton of money, off of that, by having, 60,000 people be able to attend the event. I'm sure they made a lot of money off of that. Here, like, there were still some tickets available right up until game time. And my friend ended up going because they dropped down to like $200 and stuff like that. But, they were about $500 to get into the game. So I'm happy for her. She said she checked something off of her bucket list. So I'm
Mhm.
happy for her that she was able to go. So what do you think about this revolving storyline about LeBron James possibly coming back to Cleveland? Did you hear what he said when he talked about how, there's three Cavaliers in this All-Star
Yeah.
game?
Well, he said there was three Cleveland All Stars in this game: Jared, Darius, and himself. Now, you know how LeBron is. LeBron, look, when you talk about the king of cryptic messages on social media, it is him and it is Aaron Rodgers. Those two dudes right there. So you don't know what they actually mean. So what it does is what? It gives people like you and me with big mouths and a platform to talk about it. So do I think that he's going back to Cleveland? Um, you know what? I'm kind of 50-50 on it. I'm gonna tell you this, Rachel. When LeBron left Cleveland and went to Miami and went to 3 straight finals, okay? And after that last one that they lost to the Spurs, um, I there was innuendo then about him going to either New York or LA, either one of those two spots. I was the first one that said, "Oh, y'all tripping. He going back to Cleveland. He's going back to Cleveland." Nobody believed the little.
This in 2014 you talking about?
Yes, I said it. He's going back to Cleveland then. Nobody believed the little brown boy from Fate, Texas, when that was said. I might have been living in Mesquite at that time. As a matter of fact, I was. But nobody believed the little brown boy that lived in Texas at that time. And when it came out, oh, LeBron has announced that he's going to sign back with Cleveland. I wasn't surprised. So let me say this to say, I say that to say this. Cleveland, WOVU, all of your listeners, all of the listeners of this station, of all of the personalities out there, I'm telling you right now, do not be shocked if LeBron James returns to Cleveland at the end of this contract. He wants to play with Bronny. And uh, um, in order for that to happen, uh, I don't know what Bronny's status is as far as being one of the top prospects. We know that he would have to at least be 1 year out of high school. So we're talking, what, 3 years from now? Do not be shocked, Cleveland, Northeast Ohio, Cleveland. Don't be shocked if LeBron comes back home for a farewell tour.
I think he's coming back, but there's no guarantee that the Cavs will be able to draft Bronny Jr. though. And LeBron's like, wherever Bronny is at, I'm going. My final year. I feel like he's going to come back to Cleveland. Everything LeBron does is intentional,
Mm-hmm.
and very calculated. So he didn't say that and not he's coming back to Cleveland. It's just, there's just no way, because everything he does it for a reason, and he knows exactly what he's doing. So by them saying the Cleveland people, in this All Star game, there was a point and reason why he said that, and he lumped himself in with the current Cavaliers roster. So everything that's going on out in LA, he's pretty much trying to force Rob Pelinka's hand and get him out of there. I don't know how that's gonna happen, but he'll do the final 2 years on his contract unless, he's able to get out of there sooner. But I definitely think he wants to come back to the Cleveland Cavaliers because you see that young roster. And when he came back, it was a different roster. You had Kyrie, you had drafted Andrew. So you had, trade options as well, trade pieces where Andrew Wiggins, they had been able to draft Andrew Wiggins at number one, and they was able to package him for Kevin Love. So I think LeBron likes this team as it's constructed, and feel like he can come in here. He complimented Kevin Love in his role coming off the bench, but I absolutely believe 100 unequivocally 100% that LeBron James is coming back to the Cleveland Cavaliers.
So that raises an interesting debate because at the All-Star festivities, we saw Michael Jordan and LeBron James dap it up, man hug it up, all those things. It's no secret that those two aren't friends and that they look like they don't get along. But in front of the camera, they put on in front of the camera. So if LeBron James comes back to Cleveland, okay, that'll be his third time in Cleveland. If he wins a championship before he leaves the door open, or before he closes the door, rather, will that surpass him, or will that make him surpass Michael Jordan as the GOAT?
I mean, people solely base it on rings, and I don't know why. They're two different players, two different eras, two different heights, two different positions. They are not the same position. They are not the same. They're not the same player. And I get so frustrated over this endless debate on who's better. Michael Jordan was of his era and LeBron is of his era. I don't even get into comparing them anymore. But I don't understand why they're not very close and why LeBron, had to seek him out. But Michael Jordan is a very ornery creature. So also Kobe had to seek him out as well and kind of annoy Michael Jordan. That's how they got very close. But I don't know if LeBron has sought out Jordan like Kobe Bryant sought out Jordan to build that relationship and that connection. So, I don't know what LeBron has done to help bridge that, because these old cats, they ain't chasing after these young cats, and Jordan ain't chasing after nobody trying to be friends or anything like that. So you have to chase after Michael Jordan to get his approval. And it's just odd that two of the greatest guys, the two greatest players to ever play the game, don't aren't friends or don't have any type of relationship.
I'm going to put a list together of about 6 or 7 items called the GOAT criteria, and it's gonna contain several things that are factual and then some things that are subjective. Okay, and whoever has the most of the seven will be considered the GOAT. And it ain't gonna be just Michael Jordan and LeBron James, because I happen to think that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has to be in that conversation. If you're talking about rings, I'm not talking about just rings. I'm talking about the intangibles and the tangible stuff. I'm talking about finals records. I'm talking about MVPs in the regular season, as well as the All-Star game, as well as, of course, the finals. I'm talking about overall all-time stats in terms of scoring, rebounding, and assists, and all those great things. And I know it's going to vary from position to position, but there's still a way that it can be done. Stay tuned for that. I'm gonna announce that pretty soon. The criteria, the GOAT criteria.
Yeah, but with that, you talking about finals records. I mean, LeBron does not have as many wins as Jordan, but he's been there more times than Michael Jordan. So it's like, okay, which one are we? Which one carries a greater weight? You still got to get your team there as well. I mean, obviously, winning them, carries the greater weight, but he's been there more times as well. But let's look at the squads that he had to carry as well too. When they lost to the Spurs. We gotta take a quick break though. But when he
Yeah,
lost to the Spurs,
about to get
he
good.
played with somebody named Ira Newble. Come on, man. Let's be real. What he had to do to even get there. So we'll be right back. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
Looking for an opportunity to serve others? Are you looking for an exciting career with great pay and benefits? If you answered yes to these questions, consider working at the City of Cleveland in law enforcement. As a son of a cop, I know firsthand how rewarding a career in law enforcement is. The Cleveland Division of Police offers advancement and a competitive salary. We are seeking a diverse group of young and motivated individuals who truly reflect our community. Call 216-623-5233 to speak with our recruiter or go to governmentjobs.com/careers/Cleveland. I encourage you to apply today.
Somebody say, hey, we want some money. Hey, we want some money. And you can get yours. Enterprise Community Partners presents free tax filing from IRS certified professionals. There's locations all around Cuyahoga County, and you can receive up to $6,600 from the Earned Income Tax Credit if eligible. They'll even be able to help you open a checking account to safely deposit your tax refund into if you don't already have a checking account. There's no fees, filing is free, there's no catch at all. Schedule your tax appointment at refundohio.com. This message is brought to you by Third Federal, Huntington Bank, Dollar Bank, U.S. Bank, Ohio Savings Bank, Cuyahoga County Family Services, Bank of America, Cleveland Neighborhood Progress, IRS, Citizens Bank, Fifth Third Bank, PNC, Key Bank, and WOVU, a Burton Belcar community radio station.
Welcome back to Her in the Huddle with Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports.
All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM. And remember, you can always listen to us live at 95.9 FM. You can listen to us on WOVU.org. You can always give us a call at 216-271-0959. You can always download that WOVU app so you can listen to us on the go. And Willie said, there's a couple of criteria in which that he wants to be able to judge the GOAT. But, everybody wants to compare it about rings, but you have to think about all the tangibles that LeBron, possesses as well, and what he had to the rosters that he had. He didn't have all stars like Jordan had, until his second time in Cleveland. He didn't have all the all stars that Michael Jordan had. So, this argument really befuddles me about, who really is great. but I want to see what Willie's list says to get a gauge of, but I don't think that this argument between Michael Jordan and LeBron James will ever be settled.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. I'm going to help people settle it with this criteria that I'm going to come out with, this checklist, the Shakeback Media Group GOAT checklist, coming soon.
Well, if it ain't LeBron James, I don't really want to hear it.
Well, it ain't just for you.
Oh my God. Yeah, but I think LeBron Raymond James is going to be back in, Cleveland Cavalier attire before he retires. I also think that he's going to go into the Basketball Hall of Fame as a Cleveland Cavalier as well and come back for his third stint. It's just, where's Bronny going to go? Is Bronny going to be as good as, LeBron James? Because Michael Jordan had two sons and neither of them was good at basketball at all.
No, they weren't, but they weren't nearly as good of players as what Bronny is either. Have you seen Bronny play?
Not in a minute.
Yeah. He's the real deal.
Does he look like he could potentially, reach his dad's level?
He needs to grow some more. I mean,
yeah, they said he ain't hit a growth spurt yet.
Yeah, so he's only like what? I want to say 6'2".
Yeah, 6'2".
He can jump out the gym like his daddy.
Well, his mom's short.
Well, then if he doesn't get to 6'5" or 6'6", he won't be as good as his pops. I mean, but look at what we're asking though. How can you ask this kid to be as good as his pops, who is in the great debate of the greatest of all time? I wouldn't even want to put that type of pressure on that kid because he just needs to be his own player. Like Gary Payton Jr. or Gary Payton II. He ain't as good as Gary Payton I. He balling, but he ain't like his daddy. He's bigger than his daddy. He actually can jump, and Gary Payton could not. So who else out there? Greg Anthony and Cole Anthony. Now, Cole Anthony, he is way more athletic than Greg. Way more athletic. So does that mean he's going to be better than his dad? Probably. Let's look at Steph Curry and his dad, Dale Curry. Dale Curry is one of the all-time greatest shooters, but Steph has taken it to another level. So I don't even want to do that to that kid.
Yeah, but the brother ain't that great.
Seth can play.
He all right.
But he can play. He ain't like Michael Jordan Jr. and them. He can play.
He ain't Steph.
Who is? Dale wasn't even Steph.
He ain't Steph.
So I look, this is, and Steph is the younger brother.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that Seth was the older one.
Yeah, he's the younger brother.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, what else is going on in basketball? So Zion didn't get traded, did he? Because there were some rumors out there that he got traded.
I don't know who would trade for him. He can't play. He's still injured.
Yeah, he's still a Pelican.
I mean, the thing is, Rachel, is that dude had another setback. He had another setback with that ankle.
Yeah.
So there is look, we're already 60 games into the season and we haven't seen Zion Williamson yet. There's a good chance they shut him down for the year.
Do you label him a bust?
Yep. You know what? I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this about Zion Williamson. I'm not going to label him a bust because I never thought he was that great anyway. What has he shown us? He is 8 and can jump. And he's strong. Now he reminds me a lot. To me, he reminds me of a way more athletic Larry Johnson. Remember Grandmama?
Mm-hmm.
He reminds me of him. He's bigger than LJ. He's stronger than LJ. He's more athletic than LJ. But their games to me were eerily similar. But Larry Johnson was the number one product coming out of high school, and then he was the number one overall draft pick from UNLV. So, but he didn't have the injury issues like this kid is having. He didn't have those in the beginning. So to say that he's a bust, I'm not gonna say he's a bust because I didn't think he was that great to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what they're gonna do about Zion, but it would be nice to see him play. But once again, when you big like that, how much do you think him being overweight is contributing to his lower extremities not being able to heal and his continuously being injured?
It may have something to do with it, but I don't think Zion wants to be in New Orleans anymore anyway. He's been
Dang, it's only been what, 2 years?
right. He's been, but look at what the Pelicans have done since he's been there. Look at what they have done. They let ball walk away. They let the ball roll away. How you like that? And then they've had what, 3 coaches since he's been there? At least 2 coaches since he's been there. And then it's New Orleans. I mean, New Orleans is cool if you want to go and visit and hang out and kick it, but they ain't gonna really attract no big time free agents to come down there and really compete for a championship. They couldn't hold on to Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
And he's been linked to New York for like the last year and a half. I'm not saying that it's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen, but the body language and the tea leaves, if you look at him, he don't want to be there. Straight up.
Well, you know what? He got to be able to play somewhere else as well. So, it's just not a touchy situation, but it's just a weird situation. But until he heals up, he's no good to anybody. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the future with Zion. I don't know what I thought about him coming out. The hype was so great, but didn't Duke lose to Michigan State in a when he was playing?
That team had him,
Cam Reddish,
RJ Barrett, and they did not win the national championship.
Yeah. They had a squad.
So, I mean, if you're that guy, I mean, it's not this. I shouldn't really put that on him like that because that's kind of a hard comparison to make because all those teams, and me and my brother talked about that this past weekend. Kentucky had all those NBA players and only won one national championship. They had all those great players and were undefeated and lost the last game of the year to Wisconsin. So sometimes you just have a bad game, or the other team, your opponent, they have a better game than what you had, and it just like that sometimes. But you know what, Duke players from Duke have always been a little overrated, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You think about the best one that I thought had the best chance to have a great career was Jason Williams.
Mm.
And when he had that motorcycle accident and nearly died, that he tried to come back after that, but he was never going to be the same, and he was never the same. Because I think out of everybody that has come out of the Duke program in the last 25 years, I'm thinking just off the top of my head, I think his game translated to the NBA from college more than anybody else's did, other than Kyrie.
Or Grant Hill.
Grant Hill too.
He was always hurt though. Supposedly that's my cousin.
Really?
Yeah, supposedly. That's what my dad say. I ain't got a chance to get close enough to him to confirm and tell him, but
you need to go to him through Tamia.
Yeah. My friend is obsessed with Tamia too.
Yeah,
I love her too. But speaking of Anthony Davis, how long is he gonna be a Laker for? Because if LeBron go, it's all about to fall down.
Well, LeBron might not be going anywhere because
he is.
I mean, not right. Well, he can't go anywhere right now because his trade deadline is over with. But it's not just Anthony Davis. It is the other players that are no longer there. the Kyle Kuzmas, the Brandon Ingrams, the Kentavious Caldwell Popes, the Carusos, those dudes had a major impact on the Lakers winning the championship in the bubble. And they had a decent enough impact last year because with LeBron being out for almost 30 games, if Anthony Davis hadn't gotten hurt in that first game, I believe they would have beat the Suns in that first round playoff. So a lot of that is it's a mess in Los Angeles. It really is. And a lot of that is on LeBron James and Rich Paul and Clutch Sports. There's some thunderstorms in that building.
More to come.
More to come.
And LeBron is a tornado.
Well, he might be the tsunami. Washes it all away.
He rip it all up.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's the tsunami right there, destroying everything in its wake. But I love LeBron James, and I'm just ready for him to come back here. So we're gonna take a quick break. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
January 8th, 2022 marks the 4-year anniversary of WOVU. That's 4 years of inspiration, education, and entertainment for the community. 4 years ago, this station started with humble beginnings. And now, we have a whole new sound, whole new studios. It's a new day here at WOVU. Happy anniversary to 95.9 WOVU. And here's to many, many more. Burton Bell Carr Community Radio.
Welcome back to Her in the Huddle with Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports.
All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports, and I'm here with Willie Epteen Jr., and we are back. We've been talking about a little bit about All-Star Weekend and whether or not LeBron is coming back, whether or not LeBron is the greatest of all time, and I think me and Willie agreed that LeBron is the greatest player of all time, so I'm glad to see that we are on the same page.
No.
I'm glad to see we on the same page.
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's slander.
I thought we had agreed.
No.
And said, we came to a general consensus that LeBron James is the greatest player of all time.
You know what? I don't even like using the greatest player of all time.
Why not?
Because a lot of those players that are in that conversation, or at least some of those players anyway, I've never seen play. I've never seen Wilt Chamberlain play.
Yeah. Different time, different player.
I've never seen the big old play.
Bill Russell.
So what I like to say is this: the greatest player that I've ever seen. Okay?
That's fair.
Is that fair?
That's fair.
So my criteria, my list, the Shakeback Media Group GOAT checklist is going to be for the players that I have seen, not anybody else.
Okay.
And then because that eliminates, to me, Rachel, look at it from this standpoint. I think I'm onto something here. I think I'm onto something. Look at it like this, because it will kill all that talk about, well, he played in this era and he played in that era, and could he have played it? It kills that, because I'm old enough to go back a couple of eras, maybe 3, on the fringe of 3. Okay. So I can say that and be like, yo, I can put LeBron James in the top 5 of the greatest I've ever seen, but I can definitely put Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in there. I can definitely put Magic Johnson in there. I can definitely put Michael Jordan in there. You know what I'm saying? I can definitely say that Steph Curry is the greatest shooter I've ever seen.
Yeah. Pure shooter. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that, I think that if we really if people really want to stop the debate, they should change the narrative from the greatest of all time to the greatest they've ever seen. Now, of course, people that are younger are gonna say, well, LeBron James is the greatest of all, is the best I've ever seen. Okay, that's fair. Because a lot of these kids or anybody that's under the age of, I guess, 40 never saw Michael Jordan play. Right?
I guess.
So they can make that argument. Well, LeBron James is the greatest player I've ever seen. Cool. No debate from me.
Yeah, but the even younger kids, is it Steph to them?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Maybe you talking about maybe kids that are in their teens.
Yeah.
No, they've seen enough of LeBron to say that he could be the greatest that they've ever seen.
Okay.
I mean, I've been watching basketball since I was 7, 8. You know, George Gervin, he was great. You know, Tiny Archibald, great. World B. Free, great. David Thompson, great. But I also understand and appreciate and respect the greatness of LeBron James, Steph Curry, Joel Embiid, and where he is, Dwayne Wade, Kobe Bryant, you know, all those guys. So I think if we change the questioning to that, that would kill a lot of these debates and people, you know, people getting into fights over who's the greatest player of all time.
Yeah, because I'm like, there's no way that, I mean, the general consensus is Michael Jordan, but I'm like, you have to look at the body of work that LeBron James has had, and you can't judge it just by rings. If you want to judge it just by rings, hands down, that's very easy to do.
Can I tell you who I think is the greatest player that I've ever seen?
Sure.
Michael Jordan.
Okay.
You want to know why? Number 1, he has 6 championships. Number 2, he has 6 NBA Finals MVPs. Number 3, he has 6 regular season MVPs. Number 4, he has been a scoring champion as well as on the all defensive team multiple times. Number 5, he is 6 of 6 in the championship round. Number 7, he had to pay his dues just like LeBron had to pay his dues. Remember those Pistons series? Remember those Celtics series? Okay, he had to pay his dues just like LeBron did. But the thing that really puts it over the top for me is this: is that to me, the players that Michael had on his team, Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant, Dennis Rodman, those guys withstanding. I'm talking about the Craig Hodges. I'm talking about the Ron Harpers. I'm talking about the Luke Longleys. I'm talking about the Bill Whitworths. I'm talking about those guys able to elevate them. And when they went to the championship, when they went to the finals with Michael, they won. LeBron, yeah, he had who was it? Percy Snow, Eric Snow.
Yeah. I remember they used to play Let It Snow all the time here on radio stations. I'm like, man, if you don't quit that crazy, man.
So he had Snow, and he had a grown man that they called Boogie, or Booby rather, Booby.
Yeah.
He had the Williams kid that's out of Jackson, Mississippi, who's the head coach now at Alabama A&M, I believe. So he had those guys. And I'm not saying that they were good or worse than the Longleys and the Whitworths and, the Craig Hodges. Craig Hodges did win a 3-point shootout contest. But what I'm saying is Michael Jordan took those same level tier players to the finals and actually won with them when LeBron James did not.
Don't forget, they had a player named Shannon Brown, Daniel Gibson, Drew Gooden, Larry Hughes, Zydrunas Ilgauskas, LBJ, Damon Jones, Dwayne Jones, I don't even know who that is, Danielle Marshall, Ira Newell, Sasha Pavlovich, Scott Pollard, Eric Snow, Anderson Varejao, and David Wesley. That was who was on the team in 2007 when they made it to the finals.
Okay, Varejao was for the Cavs at that time. what Rodman was for the Bulls. He was that energy dude, although he didn't get the rebounds that that Rodman got, but he was a better scorer. He could score better. He could actually at least keep the defense a little bit honest because he could shoot a little bit. Dennis Rodman couldn't shoot at all. I mean, look, this is gonna be fun because I'm gonna break down.
Well, your listing already pretty much said Michael Jordan.
But
so you don't even need to do a list at this point.
Yeah,
the 7 criteria because you named them all and Jordan fit all of them. If y'all can just see Willie's sheepish grin, if y'all can just see him right now.
I'm just saying, Rachel, that would end this stupid argument about who is the greatest or who's the best you've ever seen. Now, if you want to, because I think it does a disservice to the generations, the 2 generations or the 2 eras before this one, and I think it does a disservice to this era because you really can't say who the greatest of all time is. You just can't do it because look, if you are a player in the NBA, because of you, they changed the rules. You could be considered the all-time greatest player. Wilt Chamberlain, they had to widen the lane because of him, and they outlawed dunking because of him.
Can you imagine if they kept that rule? What in the basketball would be like?
I'm just saying. I'm trying to help people. Now I understand continuing to talk about the greatest of all time is content creation. I get that. But if we really want to be honest with ourselves, it ain't even about that. It's about the greatest you've ever seen. That's it.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan first, LeBron James second, Kobe Bryant third for me.
Okay.
Kareem is in there. Magic is in there. Tim Duncan is in there. Yeah.
Okay. I was a kid when some of them played, so I don't know if I could ever say, they were some of the greatest players I've ever seen because I was a kid and I really wasn't paying attention to basketball. I remember watching as a girl when, that Jordan hit the shot over Craig Elo. I remember watching that game with my parents and them being pretty upset, so I do remember that. But Willie, before we go to break, what are some of your expectations about these Cavs coming out of the All-Star break? And with the experience that Darius Garland, Jared Allen, and even, Isaac Okoro and Evan Mobley gained from All-Star Weekend, being able to participate, what are you expecting from this, second half of the season?
Those kids now, they should, not to say they didn't believe this already, but it should really be confirmed in them and for them that they belong here. They belong here. And the addition of Karis LeVert, I'm going to say it right now. The Cleveland Cavaliers are going to go further in the playoffs than the Brooklyn Nets.
Well, are the Nets like 8th right now, the 8th seed?
I don't care where they at.
Excuse me. I think I agree with you. I concur.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay.
I mean, Kevin Durant come back though, but
Man.
James Harden is gone and Kyrie ain't playing. So
let me tell you the reason why the Nets are going to fall apart. You cannot have Kevin Durant as your leader and expect for you to go far. He had Draymond Green in Golden State along with Steph, and in Oklahoma City, that was really Russell Westbrook when he was in his prime and not turn the ball over the way that he is. Kevin Durant was not the leader of that team. Russ was. And now you have Brooklyn with Kevin Durant as your leader and Kyrie Irving, who you never know what you're going to get. And you got a second-year head coach that has never coached on any level in basketball as your head guy. The Cavs are going to go further in the Eastern Conference than the Nets are. I'm saying it right now, right today. What's today? 2/22/22. I'm saying it today.
Yeah, Palindrome Day. Yeah, I certainly agree with you. And what is it about Kevin Durant not being able to get along with people? When he's paired with other superstars. I think because he's so quiet, he doesn't get a lot of flack. But what happened at Golden State, that you couldn't get along. Well, I guess I can kind of see how somebody couldn't get along with Draymond Green, but what happened that made it that serious that you left Golden State and y'all could have, kept on and won a whole bunch of titles together. But you walked away. So, he kind of is like a James Harden as well, a little bit, forcing his way out of situations.
No, he's not like James Harden. He's not like James Harden in terms of his leadership. Kevin Durant is way too sensitive to be a leader of an NBA team. That's why he's not in Oakland or now San Francisco anymore. Draymond Green hurt my feelings.
I felt like they took Draymond's side.
You're the best player in the world. It shouldn't even matter.
Yeah. All right, we're going to go ahead and take this final break. You are listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU at 95.9 FM. We will be right back.
Where's Marshawn?
The constantly changing guidance on protecting ourselves from COVID-19 is overwhelming. That's why WOVU 95.9 FM and Neighborhood Family Practice have teamed up to bring you the facts. The fact is, viruses adapt and change so they can stay alive. When viruses change how they attack our bodies, we have to change the way we defend ourselves. Experts like our licensed medical professionals, biological scientists, and government health agencies are doing their best to keep us informed. When information changes, it's a sign that we better understand how COVID-19 operates. Keep listening to get the facts on COVID-19 from Neighborhood Family Practice and WOVU 95.9 FM. Our Voices United, Burton Bell Carr Community Radio.
Welcome back to Her in the Huddle with Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports.
All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports, and I'm here with Willie Epting Jr. today, and we've talked a lot of basketball, talked some Cleveland Cavaliers, talked some LeBron, who is better between him and Michael Jordan, and I think me and Willie, had a general consensus that LeBron James is the greatest player to have ever played basketball to exist. So I think we came to agreement on that, right, Willie?
I'm not doing this with you again. I'm not doing this with you again.
All right, so let's move on to college basketball. So the fallout from the Juwan Howard situation has happened. Willie, do you think everything after him, he didn't hit Gary Gard. He actually hit an assistant on the Wisconsin basketball team. Do you think that the punishment fits the crime? Or if not, explain why.
Yeah, I think the punishment fit the crime. You know.
Do you think he should have been fired or
no? He should have been fired. I think the suspension for the rest of the season is warranted. I would have had a problem if he was even suspended for the entire rest of the year. The Michigan Wolverines are one of those programs that is very, very visible, not just from a basketball standpoint, but from a football standpoint as well. And even from an academic standpoint, they're one of the best institutions of higher learning in the Midwest, if not in the country. So when you look at it from the issue of, and then where it happened, I mean, it happened in an area, in an arena where, we're getting closer and closer to that time that is called March Madness. Now, if this would have been something that happened, well, I don't know if it would have been, it's never condoned, but the biggest problem that I had with this, and Michigan is my team. I love Michigan, maize and blue all the way. Go blue. Hashtag go blue. I know this is being aired out of Cleveland. It's all good. But I remember the Fab Five, and I remember the opinions that people had about the Fab Five, about them being hoodlums and gangsters and uneducated young black men, when that was the furthest thing from the case. Jalen Rose had a more than higher than 3.0 GPA at Michigan. Juwan, the same thing. They were labeled as thugs. They were labeled as wannabe thugs because of how they carried themselves, and they were just being themselves. So you have some people that are gonna reach all the way back to that 30 plus years ago and come back and say, I told you. I told you. 30 years later, people are gonna say that. They have been saying it, I'm sure. I didn't. The reason why I'm kind of upset about it is because you're a head coach. You are an NBA champion. You played, what, 17, 18 years in the NBA. You are hallowed forever in Michigan history with the Fab Five. You are the leader of these young men. You are the face of the program. You can't be out there slapping other coaches like they, it's you, you better not fall. You better not try that falling down the stairs stuff. You conscious. You can't be pimp slapping nobody. And then for your players to get involved and start throwing them blows too. That right there, I think, is what the coup de grace was. Maybe if the players had not thrown any punches, maybe he wouldn't have got suspended to the end of the year. Or for the rest of the regular season. Maybe it'd been for just the Big Ten tournament. I don't know. But I think that had a large thing to do with it.
Well, shouldn't have taken place, shouldn't have happened. I'm glad he wasn't fired because I was torn initially. I'm like, that was really, really bad. You can't be doing that. You can't be inciting brawls. But I'm like, I want something to happen to Gary Gard as well. He shouldn't escape punishment for initially putting his hands on Juwan Howard, but they always catch the second person. They always catch the second person. And that's why you can't be doing that. But, Gary Gard should be held accountable as well for his actions that initially started the incident that took place. So I believe it, it being fair down the line. So, I hope that, he'll be held accountable as well. Something tells me that he will not, but I
Well,
hope that.
he has been suspended.
Oh, how long he been suspended for?
I want to say he got a couple of games.
Okay.
But he didn't incite. I mean, it was almost like.
But he put his hands on him.
Yeah, but
unnecessarily.
But it was almost like Juwan Howard incited somebody getting jumped in the hood.
They both incited something.
But hit the Juwan's incision or incitement or whatever you want to call it. Went a little bit further than that. So I don't know, man. Juwan, from the optic standpoint, Juwan's deal looked worse because he actually swung or slapped that dude, and then his team reacted after him. Wisconsin's coach, yeah, he put his hands on him, but then that was it.
Yeah. So what do you think? So Tom Izzo, and speaking about that incident today, he said that the handshake line should not be done away with. What are your thoughts about that? Should they continue to shake hands after the game, or should they, just walk to their, respective locker rooms?
I think it should be a game by game basis. I don't think it should ever be all of one thing and none of something else. I don't think it should ever be that. It just depends. Like in a game like that, one of the coaches on the staff, or maybe even somebody that's in the program or somebody from the school could be like, yo, this ain't what we want to do this game. Let's just walk off the court and let that be that. So, because I think I heard somebody else say that too. I can't remember who it was, but it's never all. They should never lump everything into the same pot, because the lumping, whatever it is that you're lumping into the pot, is not the same. That's just my opinion.
I think it should be all or nothing. Either you're gonna do it or you're not gonna do it. There's no case by case, base scenario or anything like that. Either you're going to continue to shake hands or you're not going to shake hands. I know two teams who definitely, won't be shaking hands, and that's Ohio State, Michigan, especially during a football game, but they don't really do that anyway. But they barely can keep them separated before the game starts because they be ready to fight before the game. So I can think of an instance where, okay, if this is, an exception to the rule, that might be those two schools, because they definitely be close to coming to blows. So, but I think that they can keep the handshake line. That I've coached before, and it's been times where I haven't wanted to go through the handshake line, but I have. So I think that they should keep it. Um, we only got a couple minutes, but Jarvis Landry pours his feelings out on social media today. Willie, what are your thoughts about that? And do you think Jarvis Landry will be back at the Cleveland Browns?
I don't know, and the reason why I say I don't know is because I want to know about his contract situation. Does he have any guaranteed money left on the table, or have they paid it all to him? Because they said he was due to make $16 million next year. So
Yeah.
so his cap hit is probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 23 million, I would think. If they want to see Baker progress to the next step in knowing that another receiver is needed, I think they should keep him.
47 million of it was guaranteed. He signed a 5-year contract worth 75 million.
Okay. So does that mean that all of the guarantee money is used up? I don't think they should get rid of him, even if it has been, because from what we've seen of the Browns the last couple years, particularly last year, yeah, there were a lot of injuries, no doubt. Baker definitely did go backwards last year. But if you're wanting, and if you've already picked up his option for the 5th year, I would think that the coach, what's his name again? Coach, the head coach, I forgot.
Stefanski?
Yeah, Coach Stefanski. I would think that he would want to give everything needed for Baker to take that next step, like he did 2 years ago. He's been in the league. He just completed his 4th year. He's been really, really good 2 of those 4 years. Okay. I think that they should keep Jarvis, not only because he's a more than effective receiver, but for what he is in that locker room. And then if you get another weapon outside of him or opposite of him in free agency, such as a Devontae Adams or maybe even a Chris Godwin or maybe even a Allen Robinson from Chicago, then that would make that wide receiver room way better than what it is now.
Yeah, because if Jarvis don't come back, what you gonna do?
You're going to throw a bunch of short passes to Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb.
Yeah, because Donovan People-Jones ain't your number one. Anthony Johnson ain't your number one. I mean, and what's the one guy? I can't remember what his name is.
Higgins.
Huh?
Higgins.
Him too.
Hollywood Higgins.
Yeah, but they also have somebody that is a running back / wide receiver. I don't think it's Dearness Johnson, but yeah, you gotta do something, or your passing game will be even worse than it was this past season. Because Jarvis only had 2 touchdowns. Remember that streak of all those games and Jarvis had like 2 touchdowns and like 400 yards receiving, which is probably the lowest of his career. But you got to do something. You got to keep him. I vote for keeping him around. And paying him the 16 million, because what else are you going to do? And probably not going to be able to attract a lot of free agents, because look at Baker. Look at how Baker performed. And a lot of people, they see what happened with Odell. If I'm a free agent wide receiver, why would I want to come here just outside the paycheck?
You shouldn't want to.
Exactly. So they might as well take that cap hit and keep Jarvis Landry.
Agree.
It's not that hard. So we're gonna have to get into it tomorrow about Deshaun Watson, because we don't got enough time. But the Browns, they have some work to do. They have some work to do on that defensive line as well. They got to pair somebody up, with Myles Garrett. But I Jarvis poured his feelings out, and a lot of people think that he will not be back next year.
Well, if it's up to him, then yeah, he won't be back. But
he said he want to be back in Cleveland.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, he said he want to be back in Cleveland. I'm sure he wanted $16 million.
Well, yeah, but he's looking for a long-term deal after that, though. Because
we definitely can't give him that.
Oh, well, then he's out.
Well, I think it depends on how he produces. He'll be 30 this year. You know how they say that's, supposedly fall off the cliff time for wide receivers. But I think it should be based on his performance. How he does this year coming up.
Well, a lot of that's going to depend on the dude throwing him the ball.
Right.
So
I'm hearing that March there might be some movement around Baker in March.
Yeah, because the franchise tag window opened today and goes through March 8th, I believe it is.
And I know who they didn't tag.
Well, they may not tag anybody. They might tag the kicker.
He's terrible. We need a new kicker.
Oh, geez, they might tag the kicker.
Yeah, but Willie, that man had a good time with you know, it was a good time being with you today.
Yep. And we
So
gotta put our big boy pants on and our big boy faces on and continue on in the world no matter what's going on around us.
yeah, all right. Well, this has been Her in the Huddle for WOVU 95.9 FM. We are out of here.